The silo with no birds.
I grew up in a farming town where abandoned structures were more common than streetlights. When you're young and bored, trespassing feels like exploration, not danger. That's how I ended up climbing the rusted ladder of an old grain silo on the outskirts of town, alone, just before sunset. The silo had been abandoned for over 20 years. No owner. No warnings. Just a giant concrete cylinder rising out of tall weeds like a forgotten monument. What struck me immediately was the silence. Farms are usually loud, wind, birds, insects. But around the silo, there were no birds. Not perched. Not flying. Nothing. Inside, the air was damp and metallic. My flashlight beam caught scratch marks along the inner wall, deep grooves that wrapped around the silo in spirals. I assumed it was machinery damage, until I noticed they were uneven, like fingernails. About halfway up, I heard breathing. Not mine. It echoed strangely, as if the silo itself were inhaling. I froze, listening. The breathing stopped. Then I heard movement above me, slow, dragging footsteps circling the interior wall. I called out, thinking it might be another explorer. No answer. Then something fell. A shoe. It landed inches from my hand on the ladder rung. Old. Leather. Still tied. I looked up and saw a silhouette blocking the circle of fading light at the top of the silo. A man, if it was a man, was leaning over the edge, head tilted unnaturally far to one side. He spoke. You shouldn't climb things that breathe. That's when I realized the scratches weren't from machinery. They were from someone, or something, climbing the walls without a ladder. I didn't wait to see more. I descended so fast I tore the skin off my palms. The breathing returned, louder now, following me down the walls. I felt dust raining onto my shoulders as something moved above me, keeping pace. When I reached the bottom, I ran without looking back. The next day, police sealed the silo after a missing person investigation. The farmhouse was quiet by day, but every night whispers seeped up through the floorboards, soft, pleading, endless. The family blamed pipes, mice, old wood settling. Until the voices began saying their names. One night, trembling, they pried up a loose board in the hallway. There was no crawlspace beneath, only a deep black tunnel breathing cold air. From the darkness, hundreds of pale faces stared upward, eyes open, mouths moving silently. The whispers stopped. Now, every night, the floorboards whisper again, only this time, the voices sound exactly like the family.
The house that answered back.
Urban exploring was my escape after college. I documented abandoned homes, photos, notes, floor plans. One house stood out, a boarded-up Victorian at the end of a dead street. No address. No records. Locals called it the listening house. I broke in through a side window just after dusk. Inside, the house was immaculate. No dust. No mold. Furniture arranged perfectly. The air smelled warm, like someone had just cooked dinner. That should have been my first warning. I explored room by room, narrating into my recorder. That's when I noticed the sounds. Every footstep I made echoed back, not as an echo, but delayed. Like the house was replaying my movements a second later. When I stopped walking, I heard my footsteps continue. Then I heard my voice. From upstairs. It was repeating sentences I hadn't said yet. I went upstairs against every instinct I had. At the end of the hallway was a bedroom filled with mirrors. Floor to ceiling. In the center was a chair facing the wall. Someone was sitting in it. They turned slowly, and I saw my own face, except older, eyes sunken, mouth stretched too wide. He smiled and said, "You're early." Every mirror showed a different version of me, injured, screaming, silent, dead. The one in the chair stood up and walked
early.
toward me while the house began whispering my name through the walls. I ran. As I exited, the front door slammed shut on its own. The house laughed, not metaphorically. Audibly. A deep, layered laugh that vibrated through the floorboards. When I finally escaped, I realized something worse. My recorder was still running. Later, I listened to the audio. The final minutes weren't my voice. It was the house practicing.
We went into the tunnel. After curfew.
There's an old drainage tunnel beneath the highway where teenagers go to drink. We weren't supposed to be there after dark. Everyone knew the rule: if you hear footsteps, you leave. There were 5 of us. We entered around 11:30 p.m. The tunnel stretched
This place is incredible.
Yeah, the lights make it so mysterious.
Let's keep going, see what's ahead.
farther than expected, bending so sharply the flashlight beams couldn't reach the end. Water dripped constantly, masking small sounds. About 10 minutes in, we heard footsteps. Slow. Bare. Wet. We laughed nervously, assuming it was another group. Then the footsteps stopped when
Listen closely, it's almost here.
What do you mean?
We have to be ready now.
we stopped walking. They mirrored us perfectly. One of my friends clapped. A second clap followed, from behind us. That's when we realized something was wrong. A voice called out, "Help me." It sounded injured. Human. We followed it. Bad choice. The voice led us to a widened chamber where the walls were covered in handprints, some small, some massive, all smeared downward as if dragged. In the center sat a man, or what looked like one, knees bent backward, arms too long, skin pale and hairless. He smiled and said, "Thank you for coming closer." The lights went out. When they came back on, one of us was gone. We ran without stopping. Police searched the tunnel the next day. They found nothing except footprints leading deeper into the earth, where the tunnel ended in solid rock. The missing friend was never found. I still hear footsteps when water drips. Story 4, The Floor You Should Never Open. I worked construction cleanup. One job took us to an abandoned orphanage scheduled for demolition. The foreman warned us,
Listen up, everyone. This area is critical. Do not open anything until I give the clear signal.
"Do not open the sealed floors." No explanation. Curiosity 1. In the west wing, we found a section of floor bolted shut. Fresh bolts. Not rusted like the rest of the building. Someone had sealed it recently. We pried it open. Underneath wasn't a basement. It was a vertical shaft lined with faces. Hundreds of them. Embedded in the walls, eyes open, mouth sewn shut. Some alive. Some not. All staring upward. The farmhouse was quiet by day, but every night whispers seeped up through the floorboards, soft, pleading, endless. The family blamed pipes, mice, old wood settling. Until the voices began saying their names. One night, trembling, they pried up a loose board in the hallway. There was no crawlspace beneath, only a deep black tunnel breathing cold air. From the darkness, hundreds of pale faces stared upward, eyes open, mouths moving silently. The whispers stopped. Now, every night, the floorboards whisper again, only this time, the voices sound exactly like the family.